Okay, everybody, welcome back to Dan of All Trades. Today we are continuing work on our BMW E39 series M54 engine. I am in the process of removing the head. I already got that all removed, and I got some valve work and stuff to do, but on my way removing the head, I broke off this chain guide here that runs through your front cover. Runs through your front cover and sticks up out of the front cover a couple inches or so. And I broke the end of that off when I was removing my head. So what we are going to do now is remove that front cover. And I wanted to show everybody that process, how we're gonna go about doing that. I already have the radiator removed, so I got a little bit more room in there. Hopefully I can squeeze my impact down in there to get the dampener pulley off. I removed the pulley off the water pump. So now we are going to remove our water pump bolts, pull the water pump out, then we'll get that crankshaft pulley off, and then we can see all of our bolts that we need to get to. Water pump is out, just those 4 bolts there. And then give it a little tap. Sometimes it gets hung up on the O-ring. Okay, so my impact won't fit in here. So what we did is I turned the crank over to top dead center. Here's our mark on the pulley lined up with our block. And in this case, I got my head off so I can just look at the piston. What we're gonna try now is a Phillips screwdriver. And we're gonna use this instead of our timing tool. I'm gonna stick this down underneath here. You can't see with all my wires in the way. Down under the starter is going to be a hole in the block going into the flywheel. We're gonna stick that in there, lock the flywheel, get a breaker bar on our pulley, and see if we get lucky. I'm using a screwdriver because if this breaks off, I can just punch it through the flywheel and let it drop. That way you don't break your timing tool if it does in fact break. So hopefully this works, we'll see. Okay, we got our breaker bar on there. 22mm socket for that bolt on the pulley. And it is regular thread, so right to tight, left to loose. And we're gonna stick our cheater bar on here. We might need a longer one, we'll see. Whew, it's going. Holy smokes, it's tight. There it goes. And there she is. Oh, the bolt is loose. Okay, now, just can take the bolt out by hand by then. Here's our bolt. Okay. Now, let me try to get that timing tool out of there. Hopefully it's not stuck in there. Okay, so yeah, it got pretty tight in there. She bent pretty good, but it didn't break. So that's good it didn't break, and that's good that we used a junky old screwdriver instead of our timing pin, because it probably would have sheared the pin right off. So that was good. Now let's see if we can get that pulley off. It's not pressed on there or anything, so we should be able to tap it with our rubber mallet or something and get that to come off. Let's give it some taps here. Oh jeez, comes right off. All that torque. Think it'd be tighter than that, but that thing slid right off. Okay, we got that front dampener pulley off. And it's a good thing that we took that off, because now we have a chance that we can replace that front oil seal. And that obviously was leaking, so it's a good thing we get to do that. Now we are going to get all of our bolts out, all of our cover bolts. Okay, here's one. I don't know where they all are. here, there. Be careful, that one is a compressor bolt, but there's one a little bit lower down in here. You can't see the bottom down there. Over here, there's a few. And then once you get all those in the front that you can see, remember on the bottom down here, we're gonna have bolts through the oil pan go up to the front cover. There's gonna be a couple down here, probably 4 or 5 or so down in there. And when we get down there, I'll show you those ones. Okay, so here's your bolts. If you can see them through all the grease and oil. See that front cover, that front seal's leaking bad, so it's a good thing that we're doing this. Okay, so through all the oil and the grease, here's your bolts right here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 right there in the very front of the oil pan. Gonna pull those off, and then we should have everything off to get this cover off. And since we have the head off already, this will be a lot easier to get off rather than if you had the head on and the pan on. It would be kind of tough to get out of there. I don't know, you probably would end up ripping the oil pan gasket, I'm not sure. But since the head's off, that gives us a lot more room to move this thing up and pull it out when we get it all loose. You're gonna tap with your rubber mallet. And I forgot to mention that if you hadn't drained your oil, then when you pull the cover off of there, because I haven't drained mine, you're going to get a little bit of oil out of there just until, you know, it goes below the pan right there. And that is my video for removing the front cover. Now, depending on what you got to do in there, replace your oil seal, replace the chain guide if you broke it like I did. But be sure to shove some rags down in here for whatever you're doing. You don't get any dirt or anything or drop any parts down in there. So I hope my video helped you guys. And once again, like and subscribe and stay tuned for what we're working on next.